My apartment's kind of a mess right now. And I'm a pretty clean guy. Up until about the age of 5, I basically lived in a slum. A very run-down, decrepit, disease-ridden almost, farmhouse. Because my family was very poor. It was just my mom and me, and she was not always the best housekeeper, especially if she was drunk. And so I don't like things to be dirty. I like things to be orderly and clean. And believe me, if you had seen how messy this house used to be where I grew up before we poured a bunch of money to remodel it and rent it to people, oh my God, we could not keep a single piece of furniture in that house. That is no exaggeration. We had to rip up what carpet there was. We had to totally peel off the wall, totally just change everything, about this house, and as such, I just don't like things to be out of order. I don't like things to be filthy if it can be helped. I can deal with it, like just a bit of clutter, but for things to be dirty and not clean, that's where I start kind of drawing the line. And even when things get too scattered around, I get really kind of fed up with it. And that really sort of describes my life right now. It's a mess. And it's one of those things where when you're a guy whose main thing is he thinks, like you're a thinker, you just think, and sometimes everything just gets so out of order and so cluttered and so chaotic that you just have to find a new balance, and that sounds really stupid, I know, but ultimately that's kind of how I feel right now. And I can't talk to anybody about this. I mean, there's a couple people who have been helpful, just making me feel better personally, but really overall, this is not something you can just talk to somebody about. I mean, how do I tell people, well, I'm upset about Catholicism because, the religion I wanted to join is not there, and it's not like it used to be, it's not how it should be, how it's supposed to be, because people have changed it, and, I don't even know how to put it into words just talking about it right now, because how do I tell people how do I describe accurately how misplaced I feel, how just, upset I feel, how just betrayed I feel, how just downtrodden I feel, when these are things that nobody can empathize with almost. Nobody can possibly give a shit, because it's not something normal people worry about, so how can I talk to anybody about some of this, because it's just, these are not things normal people worry about, and all power to them, because I wish I didn't have to worry about it. And something just has to change at this point. I haven't been to Mass since last year, since summer of last year. I have no confidence in my belief system anymore. And it's not necessarily that I think the belief system is faulty, but here's a problem. It all goes back to the church. It all goes back to spirituality is what it all goes back to. Because ultimately what's going on is that I have no access to the sacraments. I have no access to a church community. I have no access to anything like that. I'm alone. I have no spiritual guidance or confidence or anything like that. And I've tried to find communities. We may have either, they belong to the diocese, which creates a whole other rest of problems, or they, if they're sedevacantists or recognize and resist traditionalists, they're absolutely insane. That's one of the greatest crimes of this apostasy in the modern church is these people who are trying to find good parishes end up in the claws of absolute political madmen, and almost cult-like figures, and it's horrible, It's just It's hard to even talk about because just processing this has been a difficult exercise for me. And just the point is, my faith in the Catholic Church is like, as of this video recording, a -20. -20. Because you can't do this. You can't irrevocably change something that was so beautiful. You can't tear down our history, your own history. You can't make these decisions and have it all just come down to mistranslation or misunderstanding. No. This is willful, negligible, aggressive destruction. Okay? And I put it out to someone, even Alexander VI, talk about how bad about him all you want, but he improved the church, and he wasn't a tyrant. He allowed people freedom of speech in the city of Rome. But you say anything bad about Pope Francis, you can't do that. And whereas Rodrigo Borgia may have made one or two questionable personal choices about his life, he didn't do anything that was damaging to the church. He didn't do anything that was he didn't attack dogma or doctrine or give any allusion to changing it. He didn't weaken the church. But Jorge Bergoglio, oh yeah, doing all that. Nobody seems to care. This is just the direction that it's going. The movement of the mob is inexorable and terrible. Let those who resist it do so at their own peril. It's just, this is just the way it's going. And why is it happening? I don't know. Do I still have faith in God and in the faith itself? Yeah. In Catholicism, yeah, definitely. But I don't know what any of that amounts to in the face of what's going on today. I don't know what that amounts to. I don't know if that's of any worth. I don't know if that means anything. I feel like it doesn't. I feel like, it doesn't mean much of anything at this point. Because how do I follow religion that's not there? Let's say the NSIR does get off the ground. Let's say that happens. What do we do when the people who are going to oppose this religion the most, oppose what we do the most, are going to be the church? How can I say I want the church to have control over the educational system when they're not? It is the way it is now. Listen, the point is, changes are about to take place. Changes that will ultimately determine whether or not you stay with this page. Whether or not you give a shit about this page. I don't know. I can't tell what any of you think. You never say anything. You never comment on anything. You just take stuff and leave. You don't seem to actually care. Okay? You don't seem to actually give a shit. And maybe that's just me, but it sure doesn't seem that way. I don't feel like anyone's putting as much effort into trying to make this a reality as I am. And I feel like that's a lot to do in part with just the church is the way it is. The church is not how it used to be. It's not how it should be. It's not how it was. it's all different, it's all changed, and I can't say what this means for me in the long run, because I don't know, but I mean, I can never stop liking the things I do, but I have to question at which point does it become unhealthy, because it gets to the point where it depresses me, and I've been going on about America recently because I'm trying to redefine myself in light of the country and the world I was placed in, even though I hate it. I cannot stand it. I hate everything about it. The only redeeming quality I can find in it is that there is an option somewhere for me to just bury myself in the things that I actually do like, instead of dealing with the reality. But, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. My heart's always going to belong to Europe and to the faith and to the history, and it will influence me forever wherever I go, but I must question the wisdom of binding myself to something that is dead. I must question the wisdom of that. I must question the point of that. Because ultimately, there's no time for that. The world is on the brink right now of something awful. And as much as I hate it, in some ways, to what it has become, America is the only place in the world that's poised to be a launching pad to do anything about it, ultimately. And, I think that to a great extent, I'll elaborate on why that is, but there's no point anymore in bowing to the icons of dead gods. The monarchies, the crowns of Europe, the old institutions, they're dead, they're gone. Sitting in museums, they don't mean anything anymore. As much as I want to tell people why they mean something, what they do, how can I do that when the church is just the living remnant of that time, wants nothing to do with it? I don't know. I don't have the answers, I don't know. Ultimately, I don't know. To the friends I've lost, I'm sorry. Who I fought, I am sorry. I try to listen to some American music, and I just get angry because it's not what I am. And I go switch to my Catholic music, and I get angry, because that doesn't exist anymore. I try to listen to just some normal music, and I get angry because, with my battle choir playlist, which I've associated for years with me playing all these Catholic factions and things on the internet and on games and, or things, and, I've just I've associated it so much with those memories, even though it doesn't mean anything. It's fucking video games, it doesn't mean anything. I still associate it with that, and ultimately I just can't get it out of there. I can't enjoy anything anymore. I walk around my apartment, stuff like this in it, and my Holy Roman Empire flag, which you're all very familiar with, and it depresses me. It depresses me. It angers me because Nobody cares. Things are going to start changing. Because I can't do this anymore. I just can't. I just can't do it anymore. And I try so hard to just bury myself in the things I enjoy, but the more I do, the more I become depressed every time I pull my head back out again, because I just look around and I'm just like, it doesn't matter. None of it matters. None of it's important. None of it's relevant. The world is marching itself to destruction. The last thing it's going to listen to is a relic of the past. Things are going to start changing a lot. I just ask that everyone be patient with that. Start making decisions about what's important to you. And ultimately, whatever I do, I don't think what I think will change much. But I do think that the way in which things are conveyed is going to be different. I can't say much else beyond that. All I can say is watch and observe. See what you gotta say. I don't even have answers to my own life. I can't tell you what to do with yours.